Welcome to the Lovecars On The Grid podcast, your global motorsport roundup with me, Tiff, Needell and Paul Woodman.
Welcome to Lovecars On The Grid, your global motorsport podcast. This week is a jam-packed agenda. Kicking off with the Monte Carlo Rally. In fact, we're not. We're going to kick off with the FIA as we normally do because it's still going on there. The Monte Carlo Rally, which was terribly exciting. Loads going on there. Snow, ice, all sorts of conditions. Abu Dhabi, bit of pre-season testing, as there was with, well, it was more than pre-season testing, but over in the USA, ready for Daytona as well. So ram-packed. But I'm going to start with the FIA because it's not going away. If anyone's on Twitter, you'll probably notice many, many different threads about the FIA and what are they going to do? And there's going to be a boycott, apparently, Tiff. There's going to be a boycott for the first race of the season, for every race of the season, because Lewis fans are not happy.
They'll be watching. If he's there, they'll be watching. The protest goes on, but Lewis is keeping admirably quiet. I wonder where he is, Lewis. Let's have a where's Wally? Where's Lewis?
It's
Not
Lewis.
Right where is Lewis?
He's one of the most recognisable sports people in the world. Yeah. Surely somebody must know where he is.
Has anybody seen a paparazzi photo? Because until this FIA's...
Will he be at the first race of the season? Will we see Lewis Hamilton? What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. I think he will be there for sure. However frustrated he must be, he'll be there for sure. Even Nick Knowles, DIY SOS for those in the UK, even he's wading in. I didn't realise he's such a big motorsport fan, Formula One fan, and he's saying it's a pantomime, it's a farce. What happened with the FIA and the FIA? I think we all agree have to do something about it, have to address it, and stop delaying and stop saying you're going to announce it at the first race of the season. Get on with it now. We want to know what your thoughts are. We want to know what your final decisions are about it, and if Michael Masi is still going to be around. Do you think he's still going to be around? Do you think Lewis Hamilton is going to turn up for the first race of the season, Tiff?
I can't see them both turning up. I think Massey's going to be fiddled in as an assistant and quietly kept to the background. I bet they'll still keep paying him. And of course, we won't hear from race directors anymore. That's the first thing that will happen. Race directors will no longer be heard on TV productions. So we probably won't even know who the race director is. They'll sneak someone in with dark glasses on under a black hood, so nobody knows who the race director is, and they'll hide in race control.
Yeah, perhaps. Well, it's funny because Nick Knowles picked up on something you've mentioned a few times about the Sky Sports, and it almost seems like they're manipulating it. Maybe that's a very strong word, but other than Johnny Herbert, who says that there has to be something done with Masi, everyone else is saying, look, let's get on with it. Let's kick this under the carpet. Let's move on. What an entertaining season. Probably the most entertaining season we've ever seen. But it's not about just entertainment. We know entertainment sells whatever it is the FIA want, which is a lot of money, but it's not just
It's Grand Prix racing. It's Grand Prix racing. The peak of motorsport all over the world. It's not some flipping go-kart race. It's
integrity, isn't it? It's everything that goes with it. Yeah, absolutely. And trust is a key thing as well. We need to know the next season. You know, Max fans, if roles to reverse next season with George or with Lewis, what are you going to think if the identical thing happened? You're not going to be very happy. None of us are going to be very happy. We don't want to see a repeat of what happened in Abu Dhabi. Nobody does. Right, let's go on to some proper racing.
Yes.
Monte Carlo, Monaco.
Yes, there was some epic motorsport of the weekend. The Monte Carlo Rally, surprisingly dry, but some nasty little icy stages early morning that were catching a few out with a smattering of snow. But we had this just awesome battle between the two retired Sebs. And, they just showed how great they are. And I'm trying to look at who's going to really replace them. The fact that Loeb can dust off all the desert from Saudi sand out of his shoes and then come and do the Monte Carlo Rally. With a new co-driver, I forgot her female's name, apologise immediately, because I haven't written the name down. But she has done a lot of testing with Seb, so she knows Seb and she paced her. It was wonderful for her to win that Monte Carlo Rally. But yeah, it was a classic rally, so fast. And of course, it was this result in the end, a 1, 2, 3 for the Ford team, for Malcolm Wilson's amazing M Sport team up in Cumbria, who blew away the big two, Hyundai and Toyota, with these new regulations, of course, for the hybrid systems. And of course, Bin Salai on the FIA, had sort of said we need more manufacturers in rallying because we've only got 2.5.
2.5, and they went on to win first, third, and fifth, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They're the half.
But of course, it was the week after that, the rally director left, whether because he'd also been trying to promote more manufacturers, whether he felt it was a slap on the face from Bin Sulayem saying there's only 2.5. But it was an awesome. And of course, with the speeds there, I mean, those drops at the rally, they became more and more treacherous. We saw Craig Breen go off down the side of a ravine before the rally even started. Then in the rally itself, Formé and the fourth of the Fords just went barrel rolling off into a ravine. And I think luckily caught the top of a fir tree, but like Tanak did when he had that terrifying off last year or the year before. But incredibly, the crew got out of this absolutely smashed. And I mean, the credit to the designers, the roll cage. I think they all have the same roll cage. That's a regulation rollover cage inside. Then during the rally, Oliver Solberg locked up downhill just straight off. I mean, luckily he was into some bushes. He was having problems, to be fair to him, because he was getting gassed by some exhaust fumes. And then even Elfyn Evans. Did you see Elfyn Evans?
No, poor Elfyn.
I mean,
He won a stage,
so
Elfyn
well.
Evans. We were cheering you. We thought this is it. It's coming home.
But how did the car stay there? It was like the Italian job. I mean, the car it went off backwards, and I don't know what stopped it, because it was a very steep drop not long below him, but he got dragged back on by the spectators. They had a red flag that says. But it was just full of drama. We had Ogier leading with about 23 seconds on the penultimate stage. It looked like he was going to cruise. It had a puncture. It started the final stage with a 9-second penalty. Then he had a 10-second jump start penalty. And I think he lost the rally by 10.5 seconds. So if he hadn't got the jump start, he would have lost the rally by half a second to Sebastian Loeb.
Wow.
So it made this wonderful 1-3-5 for the Ford team, with Craig Breen, a very solid third. Having had that off in test, he might have felt a bit more sensitive. Gus Greensmith.
Sorry,
Gus
Tiff, I was just going to say,
win.
what a beautiful looking car as well. I mean, they're all lovely looking. But that livery,
awesome.
the purple livery, looked amazing.
Yeah, so Gus Greensmith, fifth, he loved his new. He kept on saying in those interviews, I just love this car, because he's had a torrid couple of years with a car that wasn't that good. And, if you're not the best rally driver, your car's not good. But he won a stage. Chris Ingram, we're championing our WRC2, our only British WRC2 entry. He had an awful day one, stuck in third gear. He's dreaming his first Monte Carlo race. Can you imagine? He's found all the sponsors. He got to Monte Carlo. And he's stuck in third gear. He lost about 4 minutes, dropped to 42nd place. But he fought back to 14th overall. And I think without the 3 minutes he lost on that first night, he was sure being on the podium for WRC2. I forgot Eamon Boland. There were two Irish boys, Craig Breen and Eamon Boland. One name I missed from the age. Someone pointed it out to me, and I'm quite correct and apologetic. And Eamon finished 31st overall. But, it was terrible for the Hyundais, Hyundais. Tanak crashed out, damaged the car. I think Thierry Neuville salvaged, 6th place. Then we had a shock absorber come up through his bonnet. The strap broken. Katsuna was 8th. Of course, you already mentioned Oliver Solberg. He was fumed. So they had a terrible time. And it was really down to Toyota to take the challenge to Fords. But yeah, it was an epic stuff. And Kalle Rovanperä we have to mention, because he's the other two. He's the Toyota kid. He's 21. He was 4th place. He was quickest to the last day. And you're sort of looking for the next Seb, because I'm not sure Elfyn Evans is. I think Elfyn is very, very good, and Craig Breen, they're very, very good. But the two Sebs, coming back as they did, both retired, as it were. And I think, the Kalle Rovanperä at the moment is the one I see as a sort of potential Seb for the future. But I always love Elfyn. I bet he hates the onboards, because he always looks like he's been chased by the police, doesn't he? He's always like, what? And he's whereas the Sebs just seem to be
natural, so
c'est
relaxed.
bon, ici, I know it's a style. There'll be many other rally drivers like Elfyn that have looked, fairly frantic, but I'm sure he doesn't like those onboards with his face huffing and puffing. But they're very entertaining. I mean, I still think, everybody wants live rallying. I don't think it works. I watched some BT Sport live rallies, some of the stages they did live, and it's so repetitive. What more can they do? They've got the onboards.
Here's another car that goes in
starts. It's a profile of the car, down to the rear wheel, car starts, end of stage, interview, and the sort of interviews will say, "Oh, it must be fantastic! How brilliant is this car to drive?" Well, I had a puncture and a little bit of understeer, and my hybrid's not working properly. It's very hard to make it exciting when it's just same. But yeah, the Eurosport reports that I watched was unfortunately 11 p.m. They're really good. They sort of put all the best bits in, and it's what, of course, I did with the BBC Grandstand team back in whenever I did rallying in the 1990s, and we made these great stories every evening.
Was that with Dickie Davis?
No, well, Dickie might have been around, but
who was Grandstand back in the day with you? That's BBC.
Well, Grandstand would have been Boff, wasn't it? Boff.
Yeah.
What was his first name?
David Boff, wasn't it? Boff?
No, Hugh Boff. Hugh would know.
Oh, anyway.
Forgot. Anyway, I think those getting better, Frank
Boff. Yeah.
Getting better evening results and looking back. Because anyway, you can really tell the race, the story, how people are coming up and down the grid. But
and Loeb's co-driver was excuse my pronunciation, but Isabel Galmechi.
That's probably why I couldn't remember.
She's 50 years old, and she's the first lady to have won in 25 years on the WRC rally.
Good for her. She's a maths teacher. She's been teaching in some school. Yeah, brilliant. I mean, she always looked so calm, and some wonderful stories from Monte Carlo. We needed some wonderful motorsport stories. We got them from Rally World.
Do you know, I kind of lived it through yourself on Twitter and also Jay Ward from Ford on Twitter, which was lovely because Jay, obviously, and he works for Ford, but it was lovely from his. I felt the emotion from him when he's on Twitter. Oh, we're so close, we're so near, and then yes, we won. It was brilliant. You really feel like you're there with Twitter. It's brilliant. Anyway, so yeah, very good. Congratulations to everybody there. Can we go 1 year, Tiff? Can we go and have a look one year? A bit cold,
yes.
Isn't it?
Well, Ford, we've just told Ford. I listening. We'd love to come out and watch closer up with the Monte Carlo Rally next year.
Maybe to warmer climates, and a time for us to move to warmer climates as well, to Abu Dhabi.
Back into the famous Yas Marina circuit for more controversy. Oh, it's become a children's playground last weekend.
You can't say that. There were young people.
They're 15 and 6. When you stop being a child, I'm not quite sure.
I guess everyone's a child. Everyone's a child, aren't they?
I still feel like a child at 70. It's something that I'm not sure I like or approve of, because it's these winter series that are growing and growing and growing. So there were 2 championships. There's 4 weekends on the tracks. The first weekend they went to Yas Marina, then they go to Dubai for the next 3 weekends. And it's a championship they call it Formula 4 UAE. Although it's just anyone wants to go. And there's also a Formula Regional Asian Series. They've both got like 27 car entries. So that's 55 under the age of voting human beings.
Wow.
That have to take their parents out. A huge cost.
Wow.
They're out in the Middle East for the month of January. And this is all about testing for their main series, which will be Formula 3 or International Formula 4 or Formula 2. So it's literally, just getting experience of their cars at a huge cost.
I can't even afford a tractor at Donington for my Caterham as part of 70 other people.
It's such an unnecessary extra expense. The FIA should ban these series. Stop all this testing and expense, because drivers with less budget are so disadvantaged. Yeah, some of the women in the W Series, they say, because Jamie Chadwick did this, she came to the W Series having done a winter race series, which the other girls didn't have any women people, didn't have that money to do. And therefore they felt very much up against it, because their first W Series race was their first race of the year.
You can't ban somebody. You can't ban somebody for doing more testing. That's the way the cookie crumbles.
I don't know. I know they all go off to Spain now, don't it, for a month of testing. Well, you can ban testing. Formula One's ban testing.
Yeah.
So why can't you ban testing in these lower formulas? Because it gives such an advantage to the kids with the richer fathers.
Yeah, I'm there. I mean, look at I go back to Caterham again. It's a brilliant way to analogies, because look at the guy that won it last year in the Caterham Academy. He spent, rumoured to spend, over £200,000 on a Caterham Academy pre-season testing. So for 18 months or 2 years, whatever it is. For one of the other guys, he's testing today on Instagram. I've sent some messages, and rumoured to spend about 80,000. This is Caterham's. Goodness knows what these guys in real race cars are spending. crazy.
Anyway, we had some
but it's
British
it
talent
kicked off a bit though,
trying
didn't it? Didn't it kick off a bit over there with a bit
That's
of...
later. That was in the Formula Renault. Just quickly, the Formula 4, we've only got 3 Brits out of the 27 drivers, but they did quite well. Aidan Neat, son of Andy Neat, he had a couple of second places. Was it Taylor Barnard had a win? And Ollie Gray had a 3rd place. So our 3 Brits all had a podium. The star was Andrea Antonelli, who's this very highly fancied Italian. And then in Formula, during that Formula 4 series, they had something like 37 penalties dished out by stewards, not for dangerous driving or anything like that. No, for going across pit exit lines or missing the checkered flag, which I think some Caterham driver did last year and did an extra lap and got reprimanded. I can't remember his name. The other series is called Formula Regional Asian, which is doing the same 4-weekend schedule. These are sort of the old Formula 3 guys, come from the original Formula 3 about 3 years ago. And again, we've only got 1 Briton at Frederick Lubin, but Oliver Bierman, our much talented youngster, he's coming in for the last 2. But, it's just more testing for those that can afford it. Gabriele Mini, another Italian, is leading the series. But second is Arthur Leclerc, brother of Charles. And third is Sebastian Montoya, son of Montoya. So plenty of big names out there. Yeah. But in one of the races, I think it wasn't the Formula Regional, a French kid, what was it called, Hadrian David. And this trouble with Yaz, it's this modern circuit. And it highlighted, I've been twittering yesterday and it's gone crazy on Twitter. Because this kid, he went way out, he went miles off on the tarmac runoff.
He came back on, yeah.
Came back on, but he was actually, when he came out of the corner, he was on the gearbox of the car in front. But because he then shot wide, he came off the top higher speed. He was exiting the corner quicker because he'd been off-road, gaining advantage. Yeah. He then slams it down the inside, and the guy on the outside, there were 2 already abreast. He made it 3 abreast. Of course, they all collided because the next corner was a flat-out single-file corner. And I don't know how we stop it. So that with the debate that was been raging on Twitter, we can rage down below. Because what is the answer? I don't know. Poor old Abby Eaton. Abby had in America. They tried those 90-degree little sleeping policemen,
which we all thought was a great idea. But Abby doesn't, and now I agree with that.
She broke her neck. She's still got brace on, and she's recovered. Doing an amazing job. On Twitter showing how brave she is, trying to come back. But that was at 90 degrees to the act, and she just took off and slammed her. Of course, everybody says we'll just penalise them the 5 seconds, but then if everybody starts doing it, you won't know where the race is and the end of the race. And then what already said, then 37 penalties in a Formula 4 race, for different reasons.
That's my solution. So you dismiss this. You say, oh no, because quite right. You want to know live what the result is going to be. You don't want to think, oh, you got to wait 10 minutes after until they cancel it. But if it was a 10-second penalty for exceeding track limits in that type of thing, 4 wheels off the track, you exceed track limits. Tell me, would you keep doing it as a driver? Would you keep doing it knowing?
But your team and your very rich dad will get the most expensive solicitors and say he was pushed off. They'll fight it. They'll appeal it. So then you still don't get the race result for another month when it goes to a court of human rights or something.
Yeah, okay.
I think it has to be, the car must somehow be slowed. So by going 4 wheels off, I think...
GPS?
Well, yeah, GPS. That's a lot of people saying GPS. I'm not sure the technology. You'd be worrying if it broke in the middle of the race, your car gets slowed down because your GPS is out of sync. Yeah, I've been on golf buggies, And if you go to the rough, which I do go to the rough quite a lot, but if you try to drive your buggy on some courses, it's not cuts off. So yes, if you took off 5% of the power, just slow the car that's gone 4 wheels off, not dramatically, but just enough.
No, so dramatically. Well,
no, because then it could cause. You imagine cops caught at Silverstone, the classic cops. They go out, they go wide, and if all those cars that went over the curbs dropped to 95, you only got to drop 5%, so the car's still on track to have an advantage. Actually, the more I think about it, it's the best way. People say we'll put the gravel at the edge of the track, like Paddock Hill Bend at Brands, but then as soon as the car goes in and the safety car comes out. Yeah. Karun Chandok was saying have this slippery bit, which I quite like.
That's good. So but then you're going to lose it, aren't you?
Well, yeah, then it'll spin. But then if you spin and then you're on the tarmac, you can then recover and rejoin.
But then what if someone spins behind you? What if someone spins behind you and then they're going to go into you because you've got no control over the car?
Or if you have been pushed wide as well, you don't really want to be in the gravel, but it wasn't your fault. If you are literally pushed off, as happened in the Grand Prix, you know, Lewis was off, wasn't he? But I don't know. I can't remember the driver.
Let's not go there.
So I think you don't want them completely. It might not be their fault, but if you just take away 5% of their power, I mean, there's a rule in the rule book already that you mustn't rejoin the track irresponsibly.
Yeah, exactly.
So this kid, you could have done this
straight back on
for that. Yeah. So you don't lift off and you just come back on, and you expect the people on track
to get out of the way,
jump out of the way. Wrong. The guy that's falls off has got to find a way back in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've never heard the FIA, anyone at higher levels talking about some sort of speed restriction. Same at Spa, you know, they're now. So I've looked at the Spa, amazing money they're spending at Spa, putting some gravel in. But the shots I've seen, they're still
so
huge,
far.
Wide
Exactly. That's not going to stop it because exactly.
No, you're still going 4 wheels off.
Yeah, I honestly think it's got to be a time penalty, and I get what you're saying that people are going to argue it. I was forced off, but surely that you're not going to keep doing it. You're not if you're going to get a 10-second penalty.
You can't see all these penalties. I remember a Porsche at Le Mans, or an Audi it was, and I raged because on the first lap, at the bottom of the Dunlop, the famous Porsche curves, I saw what happened. He shot out of the overram, got extra speed, and overtook a car into the Ford chicanes. I thought, but I mean, no steward or marshal is going to maybe spot that. They're not a racing driver.
Cameras.
They don't understand.
This is 2022.
Going off, you exit with more speed, and so if you just see Spa, the classic one at Spa is when you get to Radion at the top, you go to the left of the curb, so you straight line that left-hand kink, and then you start the huge straight up the hill 2 miles an hour faster. So if when you as soon as you're over that curb, you lose 5% of your power, you know, then you're not. In fact, you'll probably be overtaken by someone on the track. So
I really like that GPS idea. But you know, you go to an MSV track day in the UK, Brands Hatch, for example, they got sensors there, pressure sensors. If you exceed track limits, the sensor will go off and it'll take a photo of you. So but the GPS, I just think we could tap into some drivers.
You've got to be an instant handicap somehow.
Yeah.
Drag you back. Maybe porridge or something on the.
What do our listeners
not gravel
think?
What surface would you not get stuck in, but would slow you just a little bit? Some sort of sticky honey. Anyway, we want to hear, because it's debating on Twitter, but you can write longer bits here below and be more interactive on our website. I don't know myself, but
what is the answer? I don't think there is a generic answer. And should there be different solutions for different classes, because Formula One's faster than BTCC or whatever? So, but you can't keep gaining advantages by going off a track with no penalty to you whatsoever. You can't keep doing that in motorsport because people, they're pushing and pushing and pushing. But what is the answer?
We now move across to the United States of America, where a great big concrete wall is the track limits. Well, for half the track. The Daytona 24-hour race is next weekend, and they had the Raw before the 24, as they call it, which is all their days testing. And they end up with this 100-mile race, where all 4 drivers have to do about 25 miles each to fight for pole position. And it was a fabulous race. I couldn't see it, frustratingly. So I'm not sure. People need to tell me below how to watch the Daytona 24 hours next weekend, because it's usually on IMSA.com. I was tweeting and clicking, and my computer ability. Others were complaining they couldn't open up.
I thought you got a snazzy new computer this week.
Yes, I have. Therefore, I was looking forward to brilliant pictures on my 6 times more powerful computer that I spent a lot of money on, and it wouldn't work. Anyway, Ricky Taylor won the pole with his Acura after a last lap lunge by Richard Westbrook, the British driver, with his Cadillac. He had a bit of off at a moment, but came back on his second to take where he was. Who was on pole? As Ricky Taylor's on pole. Will Stevens is joining Ricky Taylor, his car. He was part of the winning car. Westbrook ended up second. Kamui Kobayashi. It's full of great names. Was third is Cadillac. It's a 60-car grid, about same as Le Mans, prototypes. Jimmy Johnson's out with Kobayashi. The Britons, Oliver Jarvis and Tom Blomqvist, Sharon Acura. Sebastian Bourdais in the field. Indy champion Palo. A British driver, Alex Lynn. Mike Conway. Harry Tinknell. Then we've got the potentially Formula One futures for couple of IndyCar stars, Pato O'Ward and Colton Herta. They're both in it. It's a fabulous race. I was lucky to do it about 5 or 6 occasions. And it's just such a different event, with the banks. You use turns 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the famous NASCAR track. Well, when I was there my first year, we didn't have a bus stop chicane on the back straight, so I literally went down the old back straight at 200 miles an hour. And it's such a different type of. I love going there.
So when you go down the back straight, when you were going down the back,
you have to look at the top of the windscreen.
Yeah, when you were going down the back straight, is the car set up so you've got to hold it on the back straight because the camber?
No, because there's too much in. You couldn't do that because there's too much infield track with normal left and right hand corners, so you couldn't have the stagger or anything like that.
Okay.
But it is scary when you do it because you have to look at the top. If you're looking for something that's going wrong that you might crash into, 200 yards ahead of you, you've got to look right at the top. And then when you're doing that, you feel like you're moving up to hit the wall. So I can't have to look down again, worried about the wall at 200 miles an hour.
It's just amazing, all these different motorsports. Incredible.
Funny, when I first went out there about how racing's changed, we had an 85 car field, and there were like NASCAR hot rods and front wheel drive hot hatches and just all sorts of cars. The whole infield was black and dark with no spotlights to help us. It was quite an experience. I love watching it. There's always masses of pace cars out there because of the field. So you always end up with about 4 cars on the lead lap after 24 hours. So the American way, that's show business now. I'm not saying I want to see that in Formula One, but I understand how, having a lot of pace cars means people don't lose. You stay on the race lead, on the lead lap. And it does create some very exciting finish. But I absolutely love it. If you can find out how to make IMSA.com work, I really look forward to watching that next weekend.
Okay, something else next weekend that you might not be looking forward to watching. I don't want to put words into your mouth. Formula E.
Well, I know.
Formula E returns with this very snazzy new advertising campaign.
Have you seen that? No, well, no.
How much money did they spend on that? My goodness! If you haven't seen it, Formula E, they've just launched. They're in Saudi Arabia next weekend, kicking off 2022 season, and they've just launched with this incredible advert. Wow, how? I mean, goodness knows how much money that must be. But they've clearly got a few quid. But I think ultimately they need to get people to be watching it and enjoying the races. And so far, we haven't seen a huge amount of excitement. There's been lots of small pockets of excitement, but for racing fans, I don't think it's quite there.
Well, it remains an energy-saving format. They admit that. It's energy-saving. You have to save 40% of your power to make the finish. So, to the outside eye, you might think it looks so close. Gosh, they're all so close for the whole race. Well, that's because all the drivers have only got 1.6 of power to use. They're all very, very good drivers. They're all very close around the corners. They drive to a computer program, a little bleep in their ear. So you're full throttle to your bleep, and then you have to lift and coast, regen, brake corner. So that's why it's not my cup of tea, but it still is quite spectacular. And a lot of people like it. People are going more electric. So I will always give it a chance. And the reason I'm interested for this season more than any, it's the last season of Gen 2. They've had Gen New car at the end of this year. And they call it, they keep on doing it. They call it, by the way, in case you're confused, the 21-22 season, even though all the races are in 2022. The next season is the 2022-23.
You're going to say 1922 then when you were about 7 years old.
Oh man! But why do they keep calling it the 21-22 season when all the races were in 2022? There's some things they do. I don't understand.
When it overlapped 2 seasons,
they've got this new qualifying. Yeah, it is a legacy, but why keep it? Yeah. New qualifying leagues. One of the biggest problems was the fact that the fastest guys had to qualify first group, and they were on the dirty track, and then the slowest guys got pole, and then everybody won a race. Therefore, everybody could win the championship. It wasn't meritorious at all. Now they've got the new system where they've got knockout system, so the quicker guys should progress in every round. So we will likely have less race winners for sure.
Too confusing. Just simplify.
No, at least the meritocracy. At least you're now getting.
I love that word as well. Meritocracy. Meritocracy. The word of the week, Susie Dench. Get it up there. And
they're 2 cars short this year, of course, because Audi left. Yeah. Mercedes in their final year. BMW already gone, but Andretti Motorsport have carried on without their backing, without BMW's backing. Big excitement though in the press. Did you read it? The new team for next year's Gen 3.
Go on.
Maserati.
Oh, wow. I saw that, actually. No, he's come to mention it.
I mean, there are, ever since the 250F and winning the World Championship with Fangio 1957, they're pretty much on the edge of motorsport. They haven't really been mainstream motorsport for a long, long time.
No.
Sports cars, of course, they won the FIA sports cars with their, what was that model number they specially made for racing and ruined GT racing by dominating it? Yeah, the M, that
12,
one.
MC12.
Anyway.
And now's the MC20 coming out.
But that's next year. So 2 cars down for this year. And of course we lose. So we're going to lose at the end of the year. We'll lose a Mercedes at the end of the year. They're going. So it's still a bit iffy for the manufacturers' support.
Are there, so speaking of manufacturer support, are there any manufacturers out there that want to support you going to a Formula E race? I would love to see it. I'd love to see how it is, whether you get bought into it, and a bit of live reporting from Tiff Needell. So any manufacturers.
Let me look at the calendar first. I want to go somewhere hot. I want to go to where have we got next?
He might not be able to be that happy. And they do
like
Mexico,
yeah, Mexico City, yeah, quite nice.
Yeah, Mexico, very nice. So
some driver changes, of course. The big interest for Brits. We've got Dan Ticktum in joining Oliver Turvey, an all British lineup at Needell.
Oh, it's going to kick off with Dan, isn't it? I'm sorry, Dan. We love your driving. Please, not in the first race anyway.
Oh, I can't wait for his radio reports from FE. Giovinazzi's having a go. He's gone to Dragon Penske. Oliver Rowland, the British driver, switched to Mahindra, and he's now joining another all-British team, Oliver Rowland and Alexander Sims. Max Gunther's taken Rowland's place at Nissan. Oliver Askew, one of the American IndyCar stars who hasn't got an IndyCar drive this year, he's joined Andretti in place of Gunther, and he's alongside Jake Dennis. A lot of British drivers in Formula E. Alex Lynn is the only Brit we've lost. He's gone off to do full-time world sports cars, so I'm sure he's quite happy doing that. And again, the new qualifying, all on Formula on Channel 4. They've advertised big excitement. I don't think it's all going to actually be on Channel 4 because it's also maybe on 4 Sport YouTube. Certainly, I've already looked up the qualifying Friday. It's a double header this week. It's a Saturday and a Sunday, 2 races. And you've got to go to 4 Sport YouTube. So go there, look, watch the new qualifying, see how the racing goes.
Who should we be looking out for this year, Tiff, in terms of manufacturers and drivers?
Well, I think driver-wise, Jake Dennis was the big surprise. I mean, he suddenly came really hot at the end of last year.
Surely Dan Ticktum's going to be up there. Surely he's a sensational driver. It just depends on his head.
Of course, Sam's there. Yeah, Sam's doing another year with Jaguar, with Evans. So Sam's. We have got must be about 6 or 7 British drivers out of the 22 on the grid, or 20 cars, whatever it is. The 22.
A manufacturer.
Well, it's all funny names, and it's Mercedes, the big one in their last year. Porsche is still there, Audi, Porsche are leaving, I think, at the end of this year as well. So it's going to be good. Yeah, let's give it a go.
We are giving it a go. We give it a bit of stick.
I hated it when you turned on and the championship leader qualifies 18th. And your public's all like, wow, it's the championship leader. So at least the championship leader should always probably be in the first 5 or 6 every round, and we'll get that more meritorious championship. So Saudi it is. More Saudi. We're living in Saudi. We went from Dakar to Middle East at the Formula 4s and Middle East for everything. So it's the place to be for motorsport at the moment, apart from, of course, Daytona Beach, baby, for the 24 hours. So
let me just ask you a question. I love putting you on the spot. I was just having a chat with Alex Legy, who does WRC, amongst other things. Yes. And I told her the oracle. She didn't know the answer, by the way. She's a little bit embarrassed. What's the difference between WTC and BTCC in terms of power? What would be the faster car? And do you know the difference between the two?
No idea. I don't know what power is.
Well, not in terms of power. What would be faster? What's the difference? One's a World Series, and they're very similar cars. The World Series cars are much more high tech. I mean, you see the money they spend on those manufacturers. They're very, very high tech. But they're only front wheel drive. Of course, BTCC, you've got rear wheel drive as well. I think BTC is slightly bigger. I don't know, to be honest. It depends on the type. Rubber will be a big thing. I don't know the power output, but I don't. I mean, the World Series is rubbish because it's all front-wheel drive, and there's only about 9 tin boxes, and they have reverse grids and 7-lap races for a World Championship. It's no, not for a World Championship. BTCC is show business, reverse grids, weight penalties, all sorts of things, and that's fine. It's a wonderful show. Great, but not for a World Championship. So I don't care. They're quicker, they're rubbish. Okay, well, we hope you enjoyed this wonderful show and you didn't think this was rubbish. And thanks as always for joining us. We'll look forward to seeing you next week. Cheers.
Bye.
Yeah.